Love the hat, by the way.
Ooh, thank you.
Little shameless self promotion going on there.
Oh, hell yeah. I always do. We make a hat like these toques for every movie that we make.
Oh man, that would be so dope if you got some glow in the dark ones of those too.
Oh, I would love that. That'd be so cool. I love anything glow in the dark. I'm actually like surrounded by like some like glow in the dark action figures right now.
That's awesome. And I'm training a new kitten, so bear with me if he
Oh,
tries to jump on the computer or something.
no, I welcome it. What's its name?
Her name is Clementine. We just got her Sunday afternoon. So
Uh,
it's like the fun process of trying to train her not to jump up on stuff right now.
yep. That's good. That's train them young. I'll say that. I love cats. I have cats, but the better you train them young and the more you get them socialized with people, like just the better like it'll be.
All right. So, Jason, how did you get involved with Kids versus Aliens? Because this is kind of a movie we don't see that often anymore. You know, this is kind of reminiscent of like a really dark ET movie or the Goonies, where it's like a coming of age for kids. But, you know, it's centered around kids and kind of, you know, teens. So we don't usually see this often anymore. So, what got you interested in Kids versus Aliens?
Yeah, well, I guess originally, like the film is loosely based off a short film I made 10 years ago called Slumber Party Alien Abduction, which was a short film that was part of an anthology movie called VHS 2.
Yes, you know, that
And
was my favorite anthology part in that
yeah.
segment. Me and my friend, we loved the hell out of that one. So
Oh,
yeah.
good. Yeah, we really want to make VHS 2 Part 2 and get all like the filmmakers who did that one back to do another one. I think that would be fun. But when I made that short film at the time, like this was before, way before like Stranger Things and, kind of like a resurgence of like, playing within the world of like, being inspired by 80s kids movies. And after I made the short, I spent a lot of time trying to pitch like, a feature film version of that and a world. And I developed a whole TV show called The Believers, which was about like kids like dealing with like all these mysteries that are like happening in their hometown and at their school, and it mixed like paranormal and supernatural stuff because where I'm from, and I'm from Nova Scotia, Canada, and
Oh wow.
it's a hotbed of like supernatural and paranormal stuff, and there's this great story of a UFO that actually crashed off
And there
this
she goes.
off the southern. Oh, there she is. Hey, Clementine. There's like a UFO that had crashed in 1967 off the southern point of Nova Scotia, and the opening of my movie Kids versus Aliens pays tribute to that story, where a bunch of fishermen saw this light like crash into the ocean, and they thought it was a plane, and so they raced their boats over to try and see if there was any survivors. But when they got there, there was just this glowing light coming from the depths below. And so, yeah, I was like, that's something that was happening in my backyard, and I grew up being afraid of aliens, and I've always like made things. All my films are usually made from the inner kid within me. So, Kids versus Aliens is something like it's been on my mind since I made that short film like 10 years ago.
Right. And speaking of that short film, what kind of films kind of influenced that? Because it was so dark and so, you know, out of the blue in that VHS. It kind of took me aback when you first made the short film. So what kind of inspired you to first create the short film and then, you
Yeah.
know, of course, developing that story into this as well?
Yeah, well, at the time when I made the short, I was really inspired by ride films, is what I'd call them. I don't know if you've ever been on the Back to the Future ride at Universal
Yeah.
Studios, where it's like it's a movie, but like you're being put through like the perspective of this like adventure. And same with Stuart Gordon did one for Aliens, and that you can see on YouTube. It's awesome. And so I was inspired by the idea of making like a ride movie, and almost like a Honey I Shrunk the Kids kind of thing, where it's all from the perspective of the pet dog. And I was really into animal perspective movies. I really love the Babe movies, and I love this French film called The Bear, which is about from the perspective of a baby bear. And I always thought that would be cool, like an animal perspective during a horror movie. And like I said, the aliens came from my childhood fears of being abducted by aliens, and all this stuff with the kids and the shenanigans that they get into is all based on stuff that me and my brother and sister used to do to each other. And the co-writer of the short and the feature film, John Davies, I've known him since I was 5 years old. And so, the story of the kids like making a movie is inspired by me and John, like making movies growing up. And so when it came time to do the feature film, I didn't want to do the same thing that I did with the short, 10 years ago. I'm super proud of the short, and I think it lives on its own. So I didn't want to do the same thing, and I didn't want to do a found footage thing. So um, John and I took a lot of the things that we were inspired by over the past few years, and we really wanted to create like our own universe, like something that could be just as expansive as like something like Masters of the Universe or Teenage
Right.
Mutant Ninja Turtles, where I could make multiple movies and shows within this world.
And how did the casting process go? Because of course you can't use the same characters or actors that you
Yeah,
used from the
they're all
first
grown
one,
up.
right? And
Yeah,
especially getting Dominic in this, because he is
yes,
fantastic. He's fantastic as a kid actor, and
yeah,
Colm as well, and the main actress in this. They were all fantastic. So, how did the
yeah.
casting process go?
Yeah, well, for the majority of the cast are from my hometown where we shot the movie in Nova Scotia, and Dominic is from like we put out a casting call also like all over Canada, and I was only allowed to like for our budget we were only able to afford to bring one actor from away with their parents to Nova Scotia, and I met Dominic. I saw his audition tape, and then we met over Zoom, and he was just so confident and so funny. Like I knew that and he had a little bit of experience. Like he worked on some commercials and a TV show, and I think at that point he worked on a Goosebumps show as well too. So I knew I could rely on him because for the majority of the rest of the cast, this is their first time being in a movie. And so, yeah, Dominic was great. And then I met Asher Grayson, who plays Jack. And he was also from Vancouver, but his audition was like just so good. And I went to production and I was like, if we have to cut days or I have to sacrifice like fees or whatever it takes to like get this kid and his parents to like come. I feel it's one of the best decisions I made for the movie because Asher just
Right.
kills
Yeah.
it in the film and he's so good.
Right. All the kids were great. All the teens and the young adults were great in this. And one last question: were the aliens practical, or how did
Oh
you
yeah.
come about creating those?
Yeah, we had Steve Newburn design and make them. They're full on suits with masks, and we really wanted to do it like the practical way. And their design is very much inspired by my childhood fears of aliens. Like when I saw like Fire in the Sky for the first time when I was a kid, it destroyed me and like traumatized me. And I went to the because of it. I thought, well, if aliens are abducting people, like this could happen to me. So like I gotta be like best prepared. So I went to like every library in town. I remember when I was in the sixth grade and I read like every book about alien abductions and UFOs, and it was always the pictures of like the tall grays that really freaked me out. There's something about them being kind of close to human form that was just like the most kind of nightmarish version of it to me, like aliens on like all fours and stuff. Just never really scared me, but I don't know. There was something about the tall gray alien that has always haunted me.
Well, Jason, thank you so much, and congratulations on Kids versus Aliens. And we look forward to whatever you do next.
Oh, awesome! Thank you so much, AJ.